Hello everybody, we're here with Vivienne de Courcy on this Horyou TV set within the Horyou village to speak about Dare to be Wild. So Vivienne, could you tell us what brings you in Cannes?
We are marketing our film Dare to be Wild, which is the first in a trilogy of films, all based loosely on Gaia theory, that the Earth is a big superorganism that will self-correct if you give it the chance. And in the first story, which is a true story, we go about telling you how, educating you, if you will, how you might give the Earth a chance.
Okay. So, precisely, Dare to be Wild is a romantic story about a key topic, make the world more green.
Make the world more green, yes.
How do you made it in your scenario?
Well,
what was the process?
Well, when I came back from America, where I was a lawyer and a banker for many years, all I wanted, I craved, because I'd lived in a high-rise, was wild nature.
Okay.
And so I bought a little farm in Ireland and I wanted a landscape, a wild landscape design. So I met a landscape designer and all she does is design wild nature for your own backyard. So I found the story through meeting her, and it's a true story based in 2002. It's a romantic adventure story. Many people have done documentaries about addressing the climate change debate, but I wanted to do a story that had mass market, broad appeal, that was accessible to, you know, children, to kids, to grannies, to people like us that would love the story. And so it's about a landscape designer who wants to bring back nature from which we become attached into, you know, your own backyard. How do you do that? Well, people really have become so detached from wild nature, they don't know how to do that anymore. And this story asks the central question: what can we individually do?
Yes, that's why
to readdress the climate change issue.
That's why in your promotional material you spread seeds, wild seeds of flowers.
Yes. We want to give people the tools to actually go into their own backyard and actually rewild an area, grow wild strawberries, grow wild asparagus, put in a clover lawn. You know, instead of having a lawn covered in pesticides, you can actually have a clover lawn which bees love and butterflies love and looks absolutely beautiful, and you only have to cut twice a year. So it's incredibly environmentally friendly, and it brings nitrogen into the soil, which in turn grows better vegetables and better plants.
Yeah, and there is this sentence of the French philosopher Voltaire that says you have to cultivate your own garden, and I definitely see it here.
Yes, and it's funny, we just had our first premiere of the film in Dublin, and we were wide outsiders. Nobody knew who we were, and we won the Audience Award against very tough international, because people actually loved the film. And we were inundated with emails asking us, well, how do we do this? How do we rewild? You know, give us tools. And so we're now doing a website and a blog to tell people what they can do.
Yes. And
people are already doing it, and that's why in all our promotional material we ask, let's throw a lifeline to the wilderness. What can you do?
Okay. It's funny because usually in these TV sets, I love to ask to make a link between the cinema and the commitment to act. But indeed, here's the answer is already on the TV sets.
We're very, very keen on applying the message of our movie, and so the application is going to be done through a competition which we eventually want to establish a Dare to be Wild Day and roll out this entire competition worldwide. We're kind of starting in Ireland this summer. In fact, next week we're starting. And the premise of the story is, though, not just about wild gardens. The other protagonist of the story, who's a young man by the name of Christy Collard, a real character, and when he was 23, he went to Ethiopia. His family have the only wildflower sanctuary in the British Isles. It's called Future Forests. He met a Japanese writer who's the kind of J.K. Rowling of Japan, and together they developed the Future Fund for Forests. So back in 2002, Christy Collard started rewilding the Ethiopian highlands, which are man-made deserts taken over the millennium, where they've taken every root out of the soil to use to cook for food, because there's of course a population explosion issue. And they started doing sapling plantations, and in fact when we were shooting the Ethiopian part of the story, which is probably the most romantic part of the story, where they actually begin to understand each other. He's into regeneration, she's into preservation, but in fact they're both looking at the same issue. They're both looking at how do we preserve, you know, planet Earth for our grandchildren, or even our children, or even ourselves. So it's all of those issues that we're bringing up. And in Ethiopia, you see how they've started to rewild this massive man-made desert, because Ethiopia used to be all natural forest.
Yeah, indeed.
And
as Kenya used to be as well.
As Kenya used to be. And you know, it's like the same issue with the Amazon. You know, if you look at the Amazon from space now, you find all these little fish spines of roads where the forest is being completely taken down. And 157 years into the future, we've a solution for that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But it is 157 years where they've had to actually take over the forests and protect them and so on. And the kind of OPEC 157 years from now are the Council of 12, the people who, like Amazonian Indian tribes, who actually control the oxygen supplies that feed the rest of the world and have become very important. So that's the science fiction element, you know.
That's absolutely,
yes.
yeah.
Things which might happen, but we'd rather they didn't. And maybe if we apply the message of films like ours or many of the great documentaries that you've done, it won't happen. But it's quite interesting trying to get films to market, you know, and they have to hit a huge market.
Yeah.
It has to be a global market.
You know, as I was telling you before, at Horyou, we love to take care of problem, but we love most of all solution. And what you're bringing here is definitely key.
Yeah.
If you had a message to share with the world, what would it be?
I would say, go to see our film, Dare to be Wild, and then immediately just plant a few seeds and watch them grow. And then we can throw a lifeline to the wilderness.
Yes.
What we want to do with this film is throw a lifeline to the wilderness, because it's in need of a lifeline.
Yes.
And if people like you or people like us can't do it, or people like Sony Pictures or Universal, you know, or Focus Films, who really need to get this into the mass marketplace, we can't do it. You know, because nobody will see it. So we've got to throw that lifeline.
Thank you, Vivienne. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.